We were talking last night, all of us, and decided what we'd like to do before presenting on the topics that we have here today and then going into questions and workshop breakout would be to seed the conversation with a few ideas, a few questions to think about as context as we talk about innovation and technology for monitoring and evaluation. One of these relates to adoption of technologies. So a hypothesis is that the best technology for creating information flow, particularly in a crisis, is the one you're already using. Preferably, it should be the one that everybody else is already using too, including the affected population where you're working. Familiarity with technology trumps the features of your tools. Reach into the population trumps the specificity with which you can reach them. There are many examples we can turn to. Twitter, Facebook being used in real-world emergencies for coordination and mitigation. How can we achieve this adoption and ubiquity that we know we need? How can we inject tools designed to perform in crisis into everyday life, if only for a few minutes a day? Or is the answer rather to modify the tools that we're using for M&E on a daily basis to make them tougher, stronger, useful in other contexts so that they'll be broadly adopted and won't go down when a bad thing happens and you lose your networks? A second point relates to this notion of fused designs, hybrid systems. We heard an admonishment yesterday that access is not inclusion. This assertion leads us to consider what is perhaps a more subtle point about the web versus phone debate. We've spoken about the need not to fall into an either-or paradigm, recognizing that many good designs incorporate web interfaces, email interfaces, SMS, PDA forms, and this is all true. But while extending our web to those, inclusion typically means extending our web to those who cannot access it, that's a frequently cited goal of these designs. Focusing on inclusion frames the entire discussion as a compromise. It's not merely just about inclusion. Can we design systems that take advantage of the fact that some users are mobile? Right? If you have access to rich information resources, analytical software, maps, high-speed networks, that's an advantage for the entire group that may be working with you, using your websites, using your technologies. But so is the fact that you have users on the ground who can verify or refute statements made by anyone. So can we come up with designs that don't treat mobile access, SMS access, for example, to our websites and to that content as a compromise? Can we turn that into an advantage? Final point relates to design, which is a theme, as you know, throughout this workshop and throughout our days here. Someone made a comment to my colleague Eric here about wanting to use Ushahidi yesterday for alternate reality games. And this got me thinking about the sustainability problem and the notion of how we commercialize technologies to make them sustainable or get them into the hands of entrepreneurs. Organisms, evolutionary biologists teach us that scarcity drives evolution, right? We know this. Organisms either adapt or die under duress. Successful species, those that are well fitted to their environment, survive, thrive, and perhaps end up creating descendants. Good technology designs are similar. Many of the technologies we use for monitoring and evaluation today weren't designed for the harsh conditions where we do our work. In a new and unfamiliar landscape, many of them fail, and they fail us at the worst possible moment. Good designs and approaches, though, are those that are well fitted to their users' requirements. And I think I just want to conclude on this. Kazi had mentioned this briefly. Resource scarcity drives innovation. There's no shortage of opportunity for good ideas to emerge in these environments where technology is challenged to perform better. Technologies that work in a high-speed network and an air-conditioned office fail in the field. The converse is not true. Technologies that work in the field will work anywhere. And Frank Sinatra said of New York, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. can we take the technology innovations that we discover and find uses for them outside of the context in which they originally developed so that they become ubiquitously adopted and are there when we need them for everyone. So I just wanted just a few concepts to think about as we move forward. I think these themes will recur throughout the session. So I'll just want to go quickly through a brief introduction to what we are doing at InSTEDD. Our mission is to harness the power of technology to improve collaboration and information flow for humanitarian action and global development. So we're a nonprofit based in Palo Alto, California, and we're working on a number of tools that are just now reaching beta stage and will be available for general use shortly. So, question, what kinds of technologies work in a crisis, work in an emergency? Not the ones that we normally use, typically. We came at this problem, our founding mission from Larry Brilliant, improve early detection and early response to emergencies, diseases, and disasters. We discovered there are a lot of great tools out there for analysis, for visualization, for data collection, mapping, a lot of excellent technologies that we could rely on as part of the solution, but there was a gap in collaboration. There's a human interaction problem. There wasn't a good way to bring the people and the tools and the data all together to work together more effectively. So we decided to pursue that area. And as we look at collaboration, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. On the left side here, this is a cholera outbreak in Basra. That went really well. You can see someone from UNICEF in the front. And we have, you can look at the body language here. People are engaged. They're leaning toward each other. They're working together. Up here on the right is Hurricane Katrina. And if you look at the posturing, the folded arms, sitting back, lack of eye contact, things aren't going well, and they didn't. And this was at the mayor's office about a week in. And it's an interesting question. When we talk about online collaboration and interaction, what designs help us go this way instead of that?